again. It's great to have you here with us on Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. Coming up in just a few minutes, it's where I did my senior project in high school, and now I'm a proud auxiliary board member. We check in with Sylvania Area Family Services to see how its mission is changing with the times, especially now that we're into this holiday season. But first, coming off the election and the transition to the second Trump administration, immigration was definitely one of the more talked about issues sending voters to the polls. President-elect Trump's incoming administration is discussing the possibility of giving local sheriffs and deputies more powers to deal with illegal immigrants and migrants by expanding a federal program to allow these sheriff offices to act as immigration agents. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, the president-elect plans to give county authorities more power in deportation matters with rewards for jurisdictions that cooperate and retribution for those that don't. I want to welcome in Wood County Sheriff Wasylyshyn to Leading Edge. We discussed maybe the first time since I've started hosting this show that you've been here.
That's right. Nice to meet you.
It's good. We've known each other for years. It's good to have you here. Before we get into the crux of this conversation, there's a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about, especially with you here today. You were part of a podcast recently. I found it online. You started talking to the host, who is another sheriff, I understand, in Putnam County, correct?
Yes, Sheriff Landers.
And you started to dive in a little bit to your Ukrainian heritage.
Yes.
And something I apologize, I didn't realize. I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. As the war has progressed, as it has gone on, are your parents still living? And what your thoughts are, what your feelings have been with this?
Oh, well, very much. Well, a simple name like Wasylyshyn, that actually is a very Ukrainian name. My father immigrated here in 1948, and he unfortunately passed away in 1980.
Okay.
My mother is still alive, lives in Perrysburg. She's 93 years old, and her parents came from Ukraine. So we have very, very distant relatives, maybe like fourth cousins in Ukraine. So I don't have any family there, but I do know what happened with my father as a child, with Russia taking everything they owned and losing absolutely everything. So yes, there's a lot of emotions there, and we were very excited, Ukrainians, when Ukraine became an independent country with the breakup of the Soviet Union, and now it's very disheartening that Putin wants to take over Ukraine and make it part of Russia or rebuild the Soviet Union. So yes, I've been very attuned to what's going on in Ukraine, and feel
not so much vocal,
horrific.
though.
I've been very involved with Toledo Helps Ukraine. I've been in different programs and been very vocal. You know, it's important. We've done different things to help Ukraine. We've sent ballistic vests and other equipment. I've helped organize that and get equipment. Actually, I was just on a phone call today with a guy down in Florida that's trying to get some shipping containers of supplies to Ukraine.
Have you met any of the refugees?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, yes. And there's some in Wood County. So some of them.
Do you still speak the language at all? Because part of the podcast, you said until you were about, what, 4?
4 or 5. Yeah, until I went to kindergarten, I only spoke Ukrainian. My father's Ruobles. He spoke Ukrainian in the house and spoke English outside the house. So my first language was Ukrainian.
And can you still?
When I'm around Ukrainians, it takes a few minutes to get the right neurons to fire, and then I can speak Ukrainian again. Yes, and I could read and write in Ukrainian at one time. So it comes back.
But something that is still near and dear to your heart as this
much
continues to play out.
Yes, yes. It's just so sad to watch what's happening over there because the Ukrainians are just really fighting and they're suffering tremendously. You know, power grids being knocked out all the time.
Yeah.
Bombs into hospitals, daycares, apartment buildings, innocent people being killed. It's very sad.
Yeah, the tragedies of war, and I appreciate you touching on that. Let's come off the election a little bit and talk about the election season, as it were, because you and I had a very, I guess, open and honest conversation before you came out here today. We were talking on the phone, and I made mention of the fact that I thought you kind of stuck your neck out there for Sherrod Brown to be a part of his campaign, not only his campaign, but also to say you endorsed him.
Yes.
How much flack have you gotten for that move as a Republican, as a conservative?
Yeah, I got flack from some very far-right people that were unhappy. But the good news is there were a surprising number of Republicans.
Let me stop you there. You got flack from people in D.C. You got flack from people in Ohio?
I don't care about people. I answer the people of Wood County. So that's who matter to me. Yes, did I get letters and phone calls and emails from people around the state, around the country? I don't care what they think. I care about what the people in Wood County think. So there were some people in Wood County that were upset. But once I explained why in my relationship and how supportive Sheriff Brown was with our National Sheriff's Association that I'm very involved in, and explained why and the friendship, the relationship that we had, and input that I was able to give him on different bills. And we went to the border together, as you all reported a year ago last November.
We've got some video of that
video
as
of that.
well. Yeah.
We really hit it off. That's when we spent. We had known each other and had some conversations, some meetings together. But that trip to the southern border, we really got to know each other well. We were together for 2.5 days, side by side, virtually the entire waking hours. When we were from breakfast to dinner time, we were together, and tremendous conversations, very deep conversations. And yes, he may have different ways of wanting to get things accomplished, but it really was for the good of, I believe, in the good of Wood County, of Ohio.
Yeah.
And very supportive of sheriffs. There's some things he's done, for example, with Cleveland Cliffs, of saving that. There was some talk of making tougher EPA restrictions. He was doing it to save the union jobs. I was excited he was doing it because it's a big taxpayer in Ohio that was able to stay here. So
sheriffs who don't agree with that move, what do you say to them?
With what move?
With your support of Sheriff Brown.
Well, I don't answer to other sheriffs. I answer to the citizens of Wood County.
I get it.
So
But you're talking about a county that went for Trump. You're talking about a county that went for Moreno.
Absolutely, but barely for Moreno. Sheriff Brown almost carried Wood County. But the point being, there were a lot of conservative Republicans, a lot of Republicans that came to me and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm supporting Sheriff Brown," or respected and understood why I supported him.
Before we go to our first break, have you talked to him since the election?
Yes, a couple times, and actually his wife and my wife we're going to go out to dinner. So we're working on doing that sometime either in December or January, and continue on the relationships.
Can you be candid about the conversation that you had? What was said as far as, I mean, did you express your, what do you do? Do you say, I'm sorry?
Yeah, absolutely. I told him I'm sorry he lost, and he said that, hey, when the president of the opposing party wins by 14 points, how do you outdo that? He goes, I just couldn't overcome the overwhelming Trump support, and that's true. Which I get that. You know, there were some good Democrat sheriffs in Ohio that lost their re-elections because of the big wave, the red wave. Which again, I'm Republican. I did well on the ballot. Obviously, I was the highest vote getter on the ballot. So people in Wood County are happy with me, or I wouldn't have been the highest vote getter on the ballot. But there are some really good sheriffs that, unfortunately, people were voting strictly party, and that's where I guess it's important. And if I got positive feedback, it was people appreciated that Republicans and Democrats work together.
Well, I think that's one of the things that we hear time and time again is that Washington can't go across the aisle. So was this an example of that?
This is an example, and I always like to think back to Reagan and Tip O'Neill. You know, two people, polar opposites politically, but they could work together, and they were able to accomplish things. And I look at Sheriff Brown the same way. Are we opposing party? Absolutely. Philosophically, were we very different in a lot of ways? Yes. But could we work together to accomplish things? Absolutely.
What was the one thing, before we go to our first break, what was the one thing where you find common ground?
Fentanyl bill, going after China and going after the Mexican cartels regarding fentanyl coming into our country. That was huge. That's something our National Sheriff Association had been working on for 4 years to get that.
Do you say that because of an effort you see from him, or because of results?
He wrote the bill. He wrote the bill on that, and fentanyl deaths are way down. Is it because of that bill? And maybe partially because of that bill. It's early on. It's hard to pinpoint to a thing because there's many things that have caused the fentanyl crisis.
But are there enough results?
Don't know yet. It's early. It's been a year. So
are you guys to a point where it's Mark and Sherrod, or do you say Senator and Sheriff?
Out of respect, I call him Senator, but he refers to himself as Sherrod when he calls me. Hey, it's Sherrod. You know, when he calls me on the phone, he always refers by his first name. Yeah. So it's nice. He's got my cell phone number. I've got his. Well, you know, if I text him, he texts me back. Actually it was a joke.
Has he told you what's next for him?
He's keeping his options open. So I would not be surprised if he didn't run for maybe, you know, who knows, if he runs for governor, runs for senator again. I guess I don't. That'll be one of the dinner topics. So I'll let you know after we have dinner.
We've gotten off on a tangent. I did bring you here to talk specifically about immigration powers that could be afforded to county sheriffs. We're going to talk about that on the other side. Stay with us. Wood County Sheriff Mark Wasylyshyn joining us on Leading Edge, discussing how the Trump administration could give more power to local sheriffs and deputies to kind of be immigration agents. And I had you on here today, Sheriff, just because I wanted to kind of get into the crux of noodling this and figuring out, my goodness, how is this going to work if it does come to fruition? So your first couple of thoughts when you heard this?
Well, I think it would be very complicated to do it that way because a little civics lesson for people. Currently, local law enforcement has no authority to enforce any federal laws, and none of the federal agencies, the FBI, DEA, ATF, all the alphabet letters, none of them have any authority to enforce any state laws or local laws. So the only way I know of that you could really mix the two would be task forces, which we already have task forces. I have a deputy that's on a U.S. Marshals task force to go after wanted fugitives, and the federal agents, they can use their resources, we use our resources, we work together on people that may be sex offenders that haven't registered, or different people we have warrants for that we can work with them to find them, and vice versa. They have people they're looking for that we'll help them find. So by getting my deputy sworn in as a deputy U.S. Marshal, that then gives him the authority to enforce federal laws. But I think just blanketly across the country giving sheriffs that authority, I think we'd have some inconsistencies in the level of enforcement, and also who's going to pay for that when they get arrested, where they're going to be housed. And we talked about that even at a minimal of $75 a day. And we talked
Which is what it costs to house somebody at the Wood County Jail.
And again, different counties, different, metropolitan areas, it's more expensive. But we're $75 a day. So if I charge $75 a day, which I currently don't have a federal contract, but if I contract with the federal government and they talk about 500,000 people that are out there, but let's say in the year's time we find 100,000 of them. We take 100,000 people and we house them in a county jail at $75 a day. That is $32 million. I'm sorry, $7.5 million a day. Monthly, 31 days in a month, $232 million a month to house those people. And that's just 100,000 if you had all the jail space. So and who's going to pay for that? Again, we have Elon Musk. His whole thing is how we're going to save money in the federal government. Are they going to want to spend another $232 million on housing them? And it's not just housing for a week or a month. It's going to be months because the federal docket is going to be so backed up. Where are we going to have all these hearings? Because they're going to want a hearing of whether or not they should stay or be deported. How long is that going to take? Are there going to be appeal processes? ACLU is going to get involved with lawsuits. Is it going to take a year? How long will it take to get people? Because you can't just corral someone, throw them on a bus, and drive them to Mexico.
And we had, Farm Labor Organizing Committee. We're an ag area. It's important to have these workers because, according to Flock, there aren't a lot of people who want to do the work. So if they're here and they want to do the work, and maybe they don't have documentation, but my question to you is, here's the how. You're thinking about the how. How do we do this?
How is that going to do it? And the cost.
My question is to you, do you even want this responsibility?
And I don't know that certainly, if there's someone who they're looking for that has a criminal background, that is a known terrorist or violent, whatever the issues, which they're claiming there are 500,000 of them that have a criminal background. Yes, we should help go after those. They can issue warrants for those people.
And those numbers you're throwing out are across the U.S.
Across the U.S.
You're not just talking Ohio.
No, across the U.S., across the country.
Right.
But yes. But as far as me going around and expecting my deputies to, on a traffic stop, have people try to prove their citizenship when we do, absolutely not. That's not something that we are about. So, and I think you'd have tremendous inconsistency because what if you have one sheriff's office that's very aggressive in checking to see who's citizen, who's not? Next county isn't. Does that mean it's going to be a refuge area there? I don't know. And how do you equalize that?
Right.
So I think the task force is probably the way to make it more consistent. So if you remember the task force, this is what the task force is going to focus on. We're going to look for these people that have a violent background, that we know are terrorists or have bad people that we want to have left out of our country. Then the task force focuses on that. I could see that. But just to blanket say, hey, sheriffs, you're going to go out there and enforce immigration law, I think there would be tremendous inconsistencies and tremendous laws that have to be changed because just because the federal government gives us the authority, the state government would also have to have laws allowing us to do it too. Because because the feds say you can, the state is going to have to mirror that and then enact laws. Are all 50 states going to do that? And are all 50 states going to do it equally? Are they going to write the laws the same to parallel that? Just like, for example, kidnapping. It's a state law against doing kidnapping. It's a federal law. They're different, and there are differences in those. Enough that obviously someone kidnaps the kidnap, but is it going to be that consistent when it comes to border to have states write laws that mirror the federal law? I don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of wheels that a lot of things that have to come together.
What is the flavor for this in the state? I mean, as far as the Sheriff's Association is concerned, is there a want? Is there a need?
Certainly
we
nationally.
Got about a minute.
Nationally, if you ask our National Sheriff Association, they're going to say absolutely, because we have a lot of sheriffs on the southern border, some of the northern border. They're really having a lot of issues with illegal immigrants in our country.
There's at least one sheriff in Southern Ohio who really wants to do this.
Sheriff Jones, and a very, very good friend of mine. Yes, and there are sheriffs in our state that have issues. Are going to say yes. I'm fortunate in Wood County. We don't have a lot of issues in Wood County. We're very fortunate when it comes to illegals in Wood County. But do
you think to yourself, yet?
Yes.
You don't have those problems yet?
Absolutely. Depending on how many people are coming across, obviously millions of people come across. Are they going to end up in Wood County? Absolutely. If they don't cause problems, they become citizens, and hopefully there's a pathway for them to become citizens so they can work, pay taxes, and just like my father was an immigrant here. So I mean, that's what America's all about.
That's kind of why I started this whole thing off with that.
We have to have a process.
Yeah.
There needs to be a process for people to be able to do this. Hopefully, here's the biggest thing I hope, with the Republicans being in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, now's the time to come up with an immigration policy. Our country does not have a good immigration policy. Nothing that's been touched in, 50 years, 75 years since the last time we had immigration policy.
Right.
Now that the Republicans control all three, let's do an immigration policy.
And it was, as we said at the very outset, this is one of the things that drove people to the ballots and wanted to.
Very complicated.
Right.
I mean, we need a 2-hour program to really delve in. I mean, it's a very complicated
Absolutely.
process and a very expensive process.
But I appreciate the insight as always. Good to see you.
Good seeing you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sheriff Mark Wasylyshyn, Wood County. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We're just a few weeks out from Christmas, and we're just a few days past Giving Tuesday, right? It's a time of the year when we take stock in the charitable organizations we have here in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. One of the ones I wanted to highlight today is Sylvania Area Family Services, because it's near and dear to my heart. Once again, as I told you at the outset, I did my senior project there when I was a senior in high school. Joining me on set is Mary Helen Darah. She is with Sylvania Area Family Services. Good to see you again. Thanks for doing this.
It's so nice to be here.
You know, one of the things that we've talked about before we came out today, we said the organization, Sylvania Area Family Services, has grown over the years.
Yes.
But you said so is the need.
Oh, the need is just immense. And
that surprised you?
Oh, yes, especially since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, annually we were assisting individuals with food insecurities, and we're so much more than that. I mean, there's hygiene products and backpacks and Easter baskets and holiday assistance and Shop with the Hero. I mean, the list, programs and tutoring and all these things. And the pandemic hit, and the need just became greater. And now, currently, we are assisting 17,000 individuals.
Wow.
And one of the biggest misconceptions, which is very difficult to fight, is that, there's no poverty in the Sylvania area. Well, I always say, well, why don't you come?
That's been said for years,
when it's
for decades.
-9. And see who's waiting in line when it's -9. And we have a very large geriatric population that we serve, and I mean the need is just there, and many are actually employed and just cannot. We always give a hand up and not a hand out, and hopefully get people back on their feet. In fact, one of our most beloved employees was actually in helped herself to get up in one of those lines, and now she's helping others, and it's just a beautiful thing.
One of the things you told me that you guys have faced over the last couple of months or even years, has been the amount of those who are coming out and actually, we talked about Giving Tuesday this past Tuesday, but the giving has dwindled?
Yes, and we've noticed that especially during the holiday season, pre-holiday. I mean, we would some wonderful organizations have, the Sylvania Administrative Building has brought some wonderful food, and everyone has been helping us get food, but it's just, the amounts are just not there, and we have a lot of empty shelves. So when you think of the amount of the people we serve, you get things in, but they go quickly out as they do come in. So
how do you guys put together the ask, right? And making sure that those who have given year after year can still continue to contribute.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we do ask, but often we don't even have to. It's just amazing how supportive the community has been. And a lot of people don't realize that we don't have a mainstream government funding at all. It's all donations. We do get some support from the city of Sylvania as well, but it's just, we are self-sufficient, and we go up, fundraising and our fundraisers, which are very fun.
Right. Yeah, throughout the course of the year.
Yes, and it's just, another wonderful thing we're doing, thanks to the JPO Foundation, we were able to get a grant through them as well to help with mental health initiatives. We're finding the need there is just
And it knows no bounds as far as age.
No, it doesn't. No, and
Yeah.
so there's so many exciting things that we're doing, and how to identify kids that are at risk, and we're hoping to educate.
Also wanted to mention, coming up this week, you have the Shop with a Cop program.
Yes.
Two
Yes,
times,
yes,
right?
Yes, one is at Meijer and one is at Walmart, and it is the most, it's one of those goosebump moments, and little ones can come in that they're often given to us by guidance counselors, and we create lists, and they get to shop with a hero. That could be a guidance counselor, it can be a first responder. It's just amazing. And what also is amazing, a lot of these little ones, they want to use their gift card for the first responder. They want to give them a gift instead of getting one for themselves. And we've had
Pay it forward.
Yes, we've had teary moms come up and say, wow, you have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
Just going through a rough time. We had one mom last year that she said, I've never been in this situation before. And here to have my kids have a holiday and have it this special.
It's a win-win.
Yes, it's just, it keeps us all coming back. I always say, I feel like I work in the Hotel California. You can check out, but you never leave. I mean, you just, it's just so rewarding.
Our last 30 seconds, if people look for Sylvania Area Family Services, or I say in your community, any charitable organization, specifically, what are you guys looking for?
Oh, definitely. Those non-perishable food items are huge. And what's nice about that is that they can stay, they have a shelf life. And we, but right now they're going out as quickly as they come in. But right now we definitely need those pantry items. We also need hygiene products. And with, throughout the year, the school supplies, we always have a stocked pantry for school teachers.
Perfect.
And they come in and help themselves, and those
Helen.
kids get whatever they need.
It's good to see you.
It is great to see you. Thank you so much.
We'll be back right after this. We'll see you next time here on Leading Edge.